most recently uploaded a video, which I just filmed, where I chatted all of the pieces I have saved on my Instagram right now that I'm interested in casting on in the near future. The title is not that long. That's a little wordy, but anyway, I'll link that somewhere here. I am just enjoying this beautiful sunny morning in my studio with some nice loose leaf tea. I've been slowly getting into loose leaf teas and I've been really enjoying it. And I am thoroughly also enjoying working on my Ivy top by Petite Knit. This was just a wee little cast on last time you guys saw it. And now I can actually try it on and you can actually see the progress that I've made. I tried to show a bit of updates on it last time, but I just had hardly gotten anywhere on it. So it looked pretty goofy trying it on, but it's really starting to take shape and I am so excited. I can just already tell I'm gonna wear this piece so much once it's done. It's gonna look so cute in the fall with corduroys or jeans. And this is just giving me so much inspiration. This color from Jagger Spun, I can't even begin to express how much I love this color combination. Speaking of color combinations, I wanted to show you all this book that I recently got that's a Japanese dictionary of color combinations. I was so inspired by this line of Jagger Spun because they have a couple different color combinations that I wouldn't have thought to put together, but that I am completely in love with. And this is gonna be my new guide for designing pieces and choosing color combinations. It just has such a unique pairing of colors, and it's also just such a cute little book. The size is very cute, and I've already just become so inspired just from the little bit of time that I've had this book. I mean, look at this. This is another one that really got me. I love that kind of bluish gray mixed with that really happy buttery yellow with that really deep crimson red. I just really recommend looking to different artists' mediums for color combinations in knitting. I've talked about that before, but I really believe that whatever artists use for color palettes or for inspiration and creating different tones in their work, knitters need to start using those same resources. And this is definitely going to be a big resource for me. I also have been getting a lot of inspiration from bouquets, which I've also talked about my love for making bouquets. I wish that I could share more about the different kinds of flowers that are in this arrangement that I made, but I am unfortunately very uneducated in flower types. If anybody has any kind of input on these types of flowers, comment down below so other people can know. But anyway, this arrangement couldn't be any happier, and I'm really loving the shades of green and blue and even a bit of purple in there. This is just the happiest little bouquet. Last but not least, I wanted to share a scent that I have burning in my studio right now that is so fresh and relaxing, and it is the Illume Santal Birch. It's just a little, this is just the lid for the candle, but it's plant-based and it has amber with saltwater, sandalwood, breezy eucalyptus. I've had a little bit of a change of heart about my studio design. I had mentioned in my last video about doing these adjustable IKEA tables, and I'm still thinking I want to do that, but at the same time, I've really been enjoying how these antique pieces look together. It is not a good setup for studio purposes. Like I can't really block any sort of knitted piece on here. I definitely need a bigger table situation, but I'm thinking that today I might go check out a couple different antique spots to see if there's any kind of antique work table that I could find, because I think that would just fit the energy I'm looking for a little bit more and have a bit more of an organic, worn-in look versus having a sort of fresh, brand new studio look. Both are great, but I think that this is more my vibe. Coming to you a couple of days later from when I last filmed with the most random check-in. I had to show you guys, this just came in the mail. I took the top half of my dress off to try this on. But I'm sure many of you guys follow Ava Paula on YouTube and Instagram. She has the coolest social media presence, so go check her out. I was unfamiliar with her online shop until recently, and I saw this on Instagram. Somebody had bought it and tagged her in it, and immediately I purchased it. I try really hard not to be that way, but when it's at a small shop, gotta do what you gotta do. But look how cute. It's so cute. I heard it get dropped off of my mailbox and I sprinted out like a little kid. I was so excited. But anyway, that's the first random update. The second one is that I finally got a haircut today, which I'm still getting adjusted to. My hairdresser is the best in the whole wide world. She knocks it out of the park every time. But I am just so impatient about my hair getting longer, so I feel like any cut in between, I'm gonna be a little bit impatient about, but overall, I really like it, and I'm just happy that I can finally wear it down again without it looking like a mullet. That's so exciting. I spent most of the day feeling pretty sick. I think I got some kind of food poisoning or something, but I feel like I'm finally on the mend, feeling a bit better, and I did manage today to do a little bit of studio tidying, something that I really want to do on my cork boards is have little cutouts from magazines and stuff of things that inspire me. I do have quite a few different magazines that I feel a little bit nervous cutting out of. Some of them are nicer knitting magazines, but here's my hot take on nice things. Whatever way you're going to maximize your use and appreciation of the nice thing is the way that you should use it. And my knitting magazines just kind of sit to the side unopened most days. So even though it feels a little bit sacrilegious to chop them up, I would look at it on my wall every single day and feel super inspired by it. So those are my thoughts on doing things like that, and yeah, but I'll go ahead and show you guys what I've already done. So these 3 cork boards, I've mentioned this before, but these are not in their final form at all. Since I haven't gotten my furniture yet for this room, I am just sticking things up on pre-existing nails, so that's why it looks wonky like that. But we have all of my knit samples here, and then this is where I've started to hang different cutouts from magazines that inspired me or things that I thought were cool. I really like this little embroidered piece right there. And yeah, I think I'm gonna keep on looking through my magazines. This was another recent purchase that I got. This is just a thrifted IKEA stool. And I thought it'd be good to put magazines on, but then also potentially good for if I have higher up shelving, I can step on this or whatever. But anyway, I have a couple magazines here that I think I'm gonna flip through and see if there's anything else I wanna cut out.
To be kind of loose, and because it is 100% wool.
Good morning, it's Monday. I am going to be doing a little bit more studio work today, and then I also think I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to cast on the loopy micro shorts. I talked about these in one of my most recent videos, and I was just watching the Fishnets podcast, which can't recommend enough. Those girls are so funny and incredibly talented knitters. I've really been enjoying watching their stuff. But they all made these same micro shorts, and I was gonna wait to make them, but then after I saw theirs, I was like, I have to. So I'm gonna dig through my stash, see what I can find. I really wanna do something striped, maybe something very stash busty, like doing a couple of different kinds of yarns kind of all thrown together, but we'll see what I have in the DK weight. And then I'm also going to pick up one of the desk chairs that I showed in this video. It's the same desk chair that we got for my boyfriend's home office, except it doesn't have the chrome armrests. Unfortunately, his was the only option there that did have the chrome armrests. The rest of them had no armrests. How many times can I say that word? But I figured I would just go ahead and pull the trigger, because that's pretty much the exact kind of rolly chair I want for my studio. And it's only 20 bucks, so I'm just gonna do it. Hello, it has been a couple of days, maybe even a week since I last filmed. I had a couple of shifts in a row at work, so obviously didn't really have a lot of time, but I'm sitting in my freshly tidied studio. There is really no better feeling than sitting in a space that really needed to be tidied. It feels great. But anyway, I bring that up to say that I am currently reading The Artist's Way, and it's taken me a while to read this book because I think I didn't really understand it when I first heard about it, but now that I have found it and really sunk my teeth into it, I am pretty enamored with it. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit today because I think that it has a lot of misunderstandings about it. And that's not to say I'm like some kind of rep for this book, but that is to say that I was about to say that I'm not an artist, which is the whole point of that book, is that everybody's an artist. Let me back up and say that my career is not my art. I am a nurse, and a lot of my identity is often wrapped up in that. And I know that all my fellow healthcare workers can agree, but really anybody in any kind of career that is very all-encompassing, very time-consuming, even if it's not a career, even if it's, something that you just see as a temporary job, or even if right now you're not working and you're a mom and you're a stay-at-home mom, the things that take up the most amount of our time and the things that we consider to be the most societally important are often the things that we wrap our identity around the most. And I feel like I am just now coming out of this semi-identity crisis that I had about my job and my identity, because they, for a while, were becoming one and the same. And even though my job is a huge part of who I am, it is absolutely not the end all be all of who I am. And this book has really come to me at a really profoundly symbolic time. I feel like it feels like it made itself known to me in the time that I needed it the most. I don't really want to read any of my favorite quotes from this book because I think that it ruins the potency of when you read it yourself for the first time, what sticks out to you and what you identify with. There's a couple things in that book that I don't really identify with that I have just kind of allowed myself to sort of semi-glaze over, but then it's funny going back and reading different sections, things that didn't feel relevant all of a sudden do feel relevant the further I get into the book. So anyway, all of that to say that I am really working on nurturing the creative side of myself. And when my identity was getting a little bit too wrapped up in work, I found myself using this space as kind of a multi-purpose space. I was sort of just dropping things off in here when I didn't feel like storing them in our bedroom or in our living room or whatever. And I wasn't respecting the space as my studio. So I spent about 2 hours this morning reading the week 2 chapter of The Artist's Way and then doing a bunch of journaling, so much journaling. I did my morning pages, but then I also did my weekly tasks that come along with that book for each week. I did my weekly task writing, and then afterwards I just felt so mentally clear and like I knew exactly what I needed to do with this time off that I have as a nurse, only working three shifts a week. I think that part of why my identity was feeling so wrapped up in work was because on my days off, I felt a little bit directionless and a little bit paralyzed with the free time. I think that a lot of people struggle with that, and it really helps me to have this workbook of sorts to kind of guide me and help me figure out what it is that I want to do with that time. So anyway, that being said, this space feels very fresh, very ready for me to create in, very ready for me to write my morning pages in, and yeah, it's great. One of the things that I did that maybe some of you guys, your knitting baskets always look this beautiful and organized. I am horrendously guilty at being a little bit all over the place with my knitting needles, my cables, all the little tiny supply stuff. I wish that I wasn't like that, but this is my beloved project basket that I got for Christmas a couple of years ago. And I used to kind of throw all of my whips all together in this, and this kind of became a just total mess immediately, and it would kind of stress me out, and then I would sort of not want to pick out my whips because everything felt tangled and not organized. So right now it is the cleanest it's been in quite a while, and I have all this beautiful empty space, and all I'm keeping in here are my needles and my little notions bag. So now what I can do is when I want to bring my knitting elsewhere in the house, or when I want to bring my knitting outside or wherever I want to transport it, I have all of my important stuff here. And then in those blue baskets on top of this cabinet, those are where I keep all my whips. This has also really helped me realize how many whips I actually have going at one time. I didn't think I had that many, but I actually have a decent amount. So let's review just for funsies. These are very handy. I like how they stack on top of each other. They're just at Target for like $10. They're nothing fancy. We all know her, we all love her. My porcelain sweater, which still need to work on the second sleeve. Next we have my ivy top that I'm just going around and around on the body right now. Then that'll be done. This will be a really quick one to finish up. This one I am a little bit embarrassed to show you guys because if I remember correctly, the last clip that I filmed was me talking about how I was considering going out to buy the yarn for the Loopy Studios micro shorts. And here they are, almost done. These, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted about these and I was like, these just flew off my needles. It was crazy how fast these came together. And I think they are so cute. They are obviously extremely micro right now, but I'm just having a blast making these. And if you guys watch the Snapdragon Life, she semi-recently posted a video about getting back into creative projects when you feel like you're in a rut and how it's important to have a project that feels like a page turner book. This project felt like a page turner for me. It really just got me out of my normal knitting routine because I've never made a pair of shorts or pants or whatever. And I somehow don't think I've ever made a striped knitting piece before. So these have just been super fun to make. And for this, I am using Double Sunday by Sandus Garn. And I really, really, really love how these are turning out. Next, we have a very forgotten project. I won't lie, this is my forgotten red cloud sweater, but I think I'll pick this back up maybe in the fall or late summer. It's just not something I'm feeling super motivated by at the moment, but looking at it though, it is very cute, and it would be nice to have this ready for the fall and the winter. Another project that I'm very embarrassed that I kind of let fall to the wayside are these ballet leg warmers. I talked about this in a vlog several months ago, but I got pretty far on them. I wanted them to be really long because I want them to go over top of my heel. And it's totally fine that these have taken so long because they're not a necessity at all, but I've started doing a lot more yoga as well, and I would really like to wear these when I do yoga. So that's a little bit more of a motivator to finish. And then last, but certainly not least, I have been working on this project since I started uploading videos on YouTube in the summer of 2023. Yikes. But this is the Wool & Beyond Nomad jacket, and I am desperate for this to be done for the winter this year and the fall because there's really no need to explain why I feel that way. It is just absolutely stunning and beautiful, and I have the most perfect little toggle wooden buttons that I got from Maine to go with my Maine yarn. This yarn is from Bartlett, and it's just gonna be great. I think that after I finish my porcelain sweater and my ivy top and the shorts, I think this is what I'll pick up next. And that is it for this vlog. I'm about to get my laptop out and sign up for the Jane Stafford School of Weaving, which is very exciting because that is the first baby step I'm taking to learn to become a weaver. The Artist's Way has really been helping me feel more motivated about that as well. I was feeling very intimidated about learning how to weave, and now I just feel capable and inspired and motivated. So that's a great feeling. But anyway, that is it for this week's video, and I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week. See you next time. Bye.